Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome. We've just let everyone in from the waiting room, so we'll give a couple of minutes to make sure we've got everyone here. Should also say good morning, depending on from where in Canada you're joining us. It's good to have everyone here today. Good afternoon, good morning. For those just joining us, we're just giving another minute to make sure we've got all of our participants, giving everyone the chance to join in. A lot of us probably coming from meetings, joining in from other platforms. All right, I think we can get started now. We want to respect everyone's time. So hello, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon. My name is Jodine Baker, and I'm the Vice President of Research, Advocacy, and External Relations here at Imagine Canada. It's my pleasure to extend a very warm welcome to everyone here. We're really happy to have you all join us for this deep dive into why online filing matters and practical tips to overcome common barriers. However, before we get into the conversation, we'd like to begin by taking a moment to acknowledge the physical lands that we're joining in from today, even during a virtual event. Imagine Canada's staff, operations, work, and network depend on traditional Indigenous territories to provide us physical space, sustenance, safety, and community to work, live, and play. Our physical head office is located on the traditional territory of many nations, including the Mississaugas of the Credit, the Anishinaabe, the Haudenosaunee, and the Wendat. We acknowledge that these lands are covered by Treaty 13 and the Dish with One Spoon Wampum Belt Covenant. We acknowledge that these lands are still home to many diverse First Nations, Métis, and Inuit people. Personally, I am joining you today from Winnipeg, which is located in Treaty 1 territory, the home and traditional lands of the Anishinaabe, Innu, and Dakota peoples, and in the national homeland of the Red River Métis. We acknowledge that our ability to live and work on these lands today is a direct benefit of policies of expulsion and assimilation of Indigenous peoples during the time of settlement and confederation and since. The harms of these policies are many and are still being felt in Indigenous communities today. We express gratitude toward the Indigenous peoples who have and will continue to steward these lands. We commit to amplifying the voices of Indigenous peoples and working against the everyday forces of white supremacy and colonialism present in the nonprofit sector. Our team is actively engaging in training and education related to reconciliation and decolonization. We aim to listen, learn, establish meaningful relationships with our Indigenous sector colleagues, engage in courageous conversations, and take actions that advance reconciliation in the nonprofit sector. As we're all joining in remotely, I'd like for us to take a short moment to reflect on the lands on which each of us are situated, the land that each of us is living on, working on, that's allowing us to join in as this virtual community today. Thank you. Today, our guest speaker will give a brief presentation, and then we'll take some questions from the audience. Please note that we are asking you to use the official Zoom Q&A function in order to participate, as we won't be taking questions from the chat. So you can find the Q&A button at the bottom of your screen. You might need to move your mouse around, but you can see the box that says Q&A. If you click on there, you'll be able to type in your question. This meeting is being recorded, and we'll share the recording to those who registered by email shortly. And in addition, we will be posting it to the Imagine Canada YouTube channel. Closed captioning is enabled, and if you have further accessibility questions, please let us know in the chat. And now I'd like to turn it over to Bruce McDonald, Imagine Canada's President and CEO, to say a few words.
Thanks, Jodine, and thanks to everyone for taking time out of what I know are very busy schedules. Actually, gold stars for showing up on a webinar on tax forms. So I think let's just state that right off the top. As all of you are aware, every year charities are required to file a T3010 information form. And really, this is essential for building transparency and accountability in our sector, which really helps us foster trust with the government, the general public, the people we serve, and of course with donors. And it's also a crucial source of data in our sector and about our sector. Despite a lot of focus on digital transformation in the sector over the past several years, still 80% of charities file their T3010s on paper or through fax or through the mail. And you'd be shocked at the number of fax pages that still come through to the charities directorate. Because of working that way, this leads to data quality issues and is enormously expensive for the CRA because it requires manual data entry and error correction on literally tens of thousands of returns. In the past, this has been talked about as something that we would like to do, but I think there is an increasing sense of urgency that the sector needs to get serious about moving to e-filing. It really is time to ensure that the vast, vast majority of registered charities are filing online. Because as you know, right now, there's a major focus on efficiency within the federal government, including through the comprehensive expenditure review initiative that's taking place. So difficult decisions are being made, and without increased online filing update, CRA client services for charities may be reduced. The CRA needs to spend the money on rekeying and data checking. And if there is a choice right now, that is a must have. They'll have to choose and select other services. So the sooner that we as a sector can reduce the reliance on paper or fax filing, we both improve data quality and we reduce costs for the charities directorate. So, essentially, this lack of e-filing and the costs associated with remaining a paper-based system are going to create a kind of a situation where there may be other important outreach services provided by CRA will put them at risk. So our hope is that we can start to build significant momentum led by folks like you, peers in our sector, to make the leap to online filing. So really, the session today is to explain the importance of moving to online filing, provide practical information to make the transition easier. So I hope you leave here today, and if your organization is not already doing it, that you will commit to do it. And the other part is you'll spread the word with your networks and colleagues. So with that, I'm going to pass the baton back to Jody.
Thanks so much, Bruce. So today we are joined by Sharmila Kher, Director General of the Charities Directorate at the Canada Revenue Agency. We're really grateful to have Sharmila here and to work in collaboration with the CRA to try and improve the environment for charities and try and share this message with everyone today. In the background, Sharmila is supported by some colleagues from the Charities Directorate team who are on hand to take technical questions. Sharmila and the CRA team, thank you so much for being here for this event. I'm now going to hand it over to you, Sharmila, to get started.
Thank you so much, Jodine. It's really wonderful to be here and to hear some introductory remarks from Bruce. And I would like to thank everybody at Imagine Canada who's been in the background helping support putting on this webinar. I am so grateful to be here today because I feel like we are at a very crucial time in our history as a charities directorate. I've been in the job for about 3 years, and I've been talking about online filing since I started. But right now, given the financial context we are experiencing, it is really become critical that 100% of charities adopt our digital services. As Jodine mentioned, I'm here with staff from the Charities Directorate, and in particular, I would like to introduce one of our client service officers, Nicolas Paulin-Route. He's going to be joining me and will be available to answer some of your more technical questions.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining.
So before we begin, maybe I'll ask my staff to project the PowerPoint. I would like to acknowledge that we are hosting this presentation from the traditional and unceded territory of the Anishinaabe Algonquin Nation. And Ottawa, where we're situated, is also home to a very strong urban Inuit community. And because we are meeting virtually, I would like to acknowledge the lands you are gathered on from coast to coast and invite you to take a moment to reflect on the territory that you find yourself in. So today we are very grateful to this opportunity to share our message and really look forward to working together to help amplify the message. I think as a group of very interested stakeholders, both from government and the sector, we can really collectively offer support to charities in making the shift to online filing. So in our session today, we'd like to walk through the current filing landscape for charities, the real costs and challenges of continued paper filing, the benefits of making the shift to online filing, what the current filing options are, as well as some recent improvements designed to make things easier. And we'll conclude with some common challenges and how charities can overcome them. We know that change takes leadership, and we're asking for your help to spread the word, share resources, and support your networks in making the switch. As I mentioned before, we do have some time at the end for questions. I do have a few discussion questions to put forward and really look forward to hearing your insights. So let's start by looking at where things stand today. How charities are currently filing their T3010 annual information returns, and what this tells us about the opportunities ahead. So despite digital options, about 74% of registered charities continue to file their T3010 by paper. So we've improved a little bit from the 80% figure that Bruce just mentioned based on some very recent numbers. But it's really telling us that nearly 3 out of 4 submissions arrive by mail. And every time we receive mail, there's manual processing involved. This is very time consuming, costly for the agency, and ultimately the taxpayer. And this diverts our resources from frontline services. Interestingly, foundations make up the majority of our paper submissions. Although online filing has been available to charities since 2019 through the My Business account and Represent a Client feature, only 26% of our charities filed online last year. And this is compared to 93% of individuals who filed their personal taxes online. And ultimately, charities are run by individuals. So I find that particular comparison quite interesting. And that gap really isn't just about technology, it's about habit. Online filing rates don't vary much by revenue size of the charity, which tells us that this isn't just about capacity or complexity. Public opinion research that we commissioned in 2022 found that paper filing is often driven by habit or comfort, not technical limitations. So that is very intriguing. It's not the technology that's creating the limit, it's just people are used to doing things a certain way, and that is comfortable. If we look at the application side, 90% of the applications for charitable registration are completed online, but we haven't seen the same uptake on the annual filing rates. That too is a really powerful insight. It means that improving adoption isn't just about building better tools, it's about shifting the expectations and building trust. So these perceptions are really showing up in real conversations. Um, I was passing through Union Station a few weeks ago and chatting with somebody that I met at Union who told me that he volunteers for a charity. And I said, "Oh, are you filing digitally?" And he said, "No, no, he still prints and mails everything to us in Summerside because he feels really reassured by the Canada Post delivery confirmation. So again, a very powerful insight. I then was able to educate him and let him know that if he filed online, he'd receive instant confirmation that the CRA had received his return. And then he was even more surprised that if he called the Charities Directorate call center, that we would typically answer the phone in less than 5 minutes. He was scared away from picking up the phone because he'd heard about longer wait times elsewhere in the agency. So these perceptions matter, and that's what we're trying to address together. We'll talk more about filing options and improvements later on in the session, but for now, it's clear that shifting habits and building trust are just as important as the tools themselves. So as you may be aware, the Government of Canada is reviewing how departments, including the agency, use their financial resources as part of a comprehensive expenditure review. So what would this mean for the Charities Directorate? We expect that we're going to need to work with fewer financial resources while maintaining a high quality service that charities rely on. But that makes paper filing harder for us. In the past 12 months, we processed over 21,000 physical mail items. Of those, 4,709 were return mail items, often due to outdated addresses. We also receive thousands of faxes. They come in electronically now, and many of these are duplicates of things we may have received in the physical mail or even through online services. So this creates a volume of manual work that takes time and pulls our staff away from other priorities. Manual returns also take a lot longer to review and fix, so this means delays in re-registrations, updates, and overall service turnaround, not just for the filer, but across the system. And when we have staff tied up processing paper, it means we have less capacity for phone support, outreach, and timely service across the board. When we have to manually key the T3010 data, we're slowed down in terms of being able to release sector data to those who are interested. And this really makes it harder for researchers, policymakers, and donors to access that timely and accurate information. So while online filing is part of modernizing our systems, it's also about protecting the services we offer today and ensuring we have the capacity to meet the sector's needs tomorrow. So let's take a closer look at what charities can gain by making the switch to online filing. This isn't just about saving CRA time. It's about saving your time. It's about reducing stress, improving accuracy, and freeing up resources so you can focus on what matters most, your mission. So what does online filing actually offer? Peace of mind. You'll know right away when your return is submitted. No need to track it, wonder if it went through, or wait for confirmation. It offers public trust. Your charity's information updates on our list of charities within 24 hours. That means that donors and funders see the most current version of your work fast. It offers fewer errors. The system helps you out with prompts and autofill features, so it's easier to get things right the first time and avoid back and forth corrections. The system offers built-in compliance, so you'll get reminders for deadlines and missing information, which also makes it easier to stay on track and avoid issues like revocation. The system offers flexibility. You don't have to finish everything in one go. You can save your progress and come back later and file at your own pace. It also offers shared access, so if you're working as part of a team, as many of you will be, multiple authorized users can collaborate on the return. It's a great way to divide tasks and keep things moving. And finally, sustainability. We all care about the environment. So no printing, no postage, no paper. It's a small change that adds up. So these aren't just features, these are real solutions to challenges charities have told us about over the years. And they're already making a difference for thousands of organizations across the country. So now that we've seen the benefits of online filing, let's look at how charities can actually get started. Filing online has never been easier, and this year there are two flexible options to choose from. The first is the original CRA online filing method using an interactive form that's available through your CRA account. And the second is a new option where charities can file using CRA third-party vendor software. That is software that the CRA has certified. I'll review both of the options and then provide a high-level overview of how they work. So option one is the original CRA online filing method. It's the interactive form that we launched back in 2019. You can access it through your CRA account, whether that's a My Business account, Represent a Client, or My Account. Since it was originally introduced, we've made a number of improvements. Many of them were shaped by feedback from the sector itself. So if you've used it before, you might notice that it's smoother and more intuitive now. One of these improvements includes a new single sign-in feature where you can now access the charities portal directly from My Account, the same place you go to check your taxes, benefits, or balances. That means fewer passwords to manage and a seamless login experience. And I know personally, this has really helped me out because I can't remember all of the various passwords that are required in our lives now. This filing option offers a step-by-step form designed specifically for charities. There are built-in checks and prompts that help catch errors before you submit. The ability to save your progress and come back later, so there's no need to finish everything in one sitting. Instant confirmation that once your return is submitted, you know that it's been received, and your information will be updated on our website within 24 hours. So your profile is current for your donors and funders. So this is a really great option for charities that want a simple, secure experience without the need for external software. So, we have Nicola here. If you have specific questions, we can get into those later. But it's really a straightforward process. You go in, step one, access your CRA account, go to canada.ca, select taxes, click in CRA sign in. You can use your CRA ID and password, or you can use your banking information using the sign in partner option. As I said, that's what I prefer because one less password to remember. And if you haven't registered yet, it only takes a few minutes. Step two is to file your return. So you go into your account, click on registered charity on the left-hand side of the menu, select your RR account, and then click file a return. And the final step is to submit. So when you're ready, you click on submit the charity's annual return. Then you'll get your confirmation, a CRA case number, and a summary that you can keep for your records. So that's it. Just a few clicks and you can file your return. Earlier this spring, we introduced a new option. So this is our second option. And this allows charities to file online using CRA certified software. So this allows the charity or their authorized representative to prepare a return using a CRA certified software, which you can then upload directly through your CRA account. This is a big step forward, especially because nearly half of our paper filers are already using third-party tools to prepare their returns only to print them and mail them. So that represents over 30,000 returns that could be filed digitally today. When I've been out speaking to stakeholders, I've met many accountants who've told me that they use this software, hit print, and then take the material to Canada Post to put it in the mail to Summerside. So this is a really exciting development that we were able to launch this year. With this new option, the login steps are exactly the same as with the CRA form. You sign in, you select your RR account, and you upload your return. There's no extra setup, no new process involved. This option is fast. We process those returns instantly. It's secure because certified tools by the CRA have to meet very strict standards, and it's efficient. It's fully digital, there's no paper, there's no delays. And it's familiar because charities are already using this software to prepare their returns, so it's a more natural fit with their existing workflows. We've certified 2 software products to start with. So it's Intunit's Profile, which is designed for tax professionals, and the Canadian Centre for Christian Charities T3010 online form. And that is available to all charities. We have 2 more vendors who are actively developing their own solutions, and several others are expected to join us next year. So there will be more choice along the way. One key advantage to this option, unlike the CRA's online form, is that you are able, with the certified software, to upload your spreadsheet that includes all the entries in the T1236. So using this system, you'll be able to auto-populate the charity's gifts to qualified donees. And this can save a charity hours of data entry and reduces the risk of error. So if anybody's ever completed that schedule, you'll know what I'm talking about. So we know that not everyone in your organization may feel confident navigating digital processes. For some, even basic online forms can feel overwhelming, and that's completely okay. These are common challenges, and you are not alone. Some charities have told us that they're not tech savvy or they struggle with online forms. They're reluctant to share personal information like their social insurance number. They prefer to stick to paper because that's always what they've done. Or they're having issues accessing the CRA online services portal. We get it. Change can be uncomfortable, especially when it involves new technology or sensitive information. So that's why we've built in support for every step of the process. So as a tax regulator, it's important to note that security is top of mind. Using this SIN for identity validation helps us ensure that your information is protected and that only authorized individuals can access or update your charity's records. Our dedicated Charities Directorate Client Service Call Center is completely separate from the general CRA line. It's a specialized team that works exclusively with charities. When you call, you'll speak to someone who understands your context and your needs. And in terms of wait times, as I mentioned before, it's typically under 5 minutes. Once you're connected, our representatives can walk you through the entire process at your pace. We take the time to explain why we ask for the SIN, how it's used, and critically, that no one else in your organization will be able to see it. Once that's clarified, most people feel much more comfortable moving forward. We also know that charities sometimes struggle to gain access to CRA's MyBA portal due to missing director information. While there are misconceptions about long wait times and complex fixes, in reality, a complex call to our dedicated call center can resolve access issues with simple step-by-step guidance, unlocking full portal functionality, including online filing. Paper filing has had a good run, But like floppy disks and fax machines, it's no longer the most efficient or effective way to do business. With a secure, reliable digital option that's now available, we're here to help you make the transition confidently and comfortably. We can't emphasize enough. If you run into any issues while trying to file online, the Charities Directorate call center is your best resource. So many charities are pleasantly surprised after speaking with the team, realizing just how quickly we can resolve the issues they're facing. Whether it's updating the charity's legal name, stated purposes, or operational activities, our client service representatives offer tailored guidance. They're often the first point of contact for organizations navigating structural or governance changes. They also help clarify charity specific operational questions, explaining how the rules apply in practice and offering reassurance when things feel complex or unfamiliar. From our perspective, timely communication makes all the difference. So, whether you're submitting documentation, amending your records, or working through compliance questions under the Income Tax Act, our client service team is here to help you. They're not just a helpline, they're a trusted partner in helping charities understand and meet their obligations with confidence. To wrap up, online filing is not just about a tech upgrade, it's really a mindset shift. At this stage, moving to online T3010 filing is more than just convenience. It's about building a smarter, more responsive regulatory system, one that reflects the strength, diversity, and innovation of Canada's charitable sector. The tools are in place, but the transition depends on all of us. So, this is where your leadership matters. Whether you're part of a small grassroots team or a national umbrella organization, your voice carries weight. You're trusted advisors, community connectors, and stewards of good governance. You understand the realities on the ground, and you have the relationships to spark real change. Barriers still exist, and that's why your role is so important. Charities that rely on paper based workflows and may have had some challenges at accessing the MyBA account or adapting to new systems. We realize that while there's some technical hurdles, these are also opportunities for leadership, support, and collaboration. As we've discussed, a single sign-in option now gives access to all CRA online services. The platform is more intuitive, and new certified software options allow charities to upload donation data directly by simply uploading a spreadsheet. No more manual entry for those gifts to qualified donees. These changes were made with your feedback in mind. But awareness and adoption aren't going to happen on their own. So that's why we're asking for more than feedback. We're asking for partnership. Help us spread the word. Share your experience. Support organizations in making the switch, whether it's through a one-on-one conversation, somebody you meet at Union Station, training sessions, or sector-wide outreach. Let's try to build something better together. As I've said throughout, every minute that we spend processing paper returns manually is time that we cannot spend improving services or helping you support communities. In today's climate, we need to be really strategic with our resources. So let's shift to digital when it makes sense and build a system that is modern, efficient, and shaped by the sector itself. So, keeping all that we've discussed in mind, we will open the floor for discussions. I have not been able to follow the chat, but I think you've all been directed to the Q&A feature, so Jodine and team will help with that. So certainly Nicola is here if you have technical questions. We're also really keen to listen to some feedback on a few discussion questions that we have to propose. So, what do you think is holding charities back from filing online? We've heard different reasons why some charities haven't made this switch yet? Is it mostly about technologies, internal workflows, or maybe just sticking with what's familiar? Let's really hear what's getting in the way, and that will help us look to clear those roadblocks. Second question, how might a shift to online filing impact equity across the sector? Are there particular organizations that seem to struggle with online filing? Is it the smaller groups? Is it the rural charities, those with limited staff or tech access? It's worth asking who might be at risk of falling behind and what type of support would make a real difference. Third question, from where you sit, what would a smooth and well-supported transition to mandatory online filing look like? If online filing were to become the norm or even mandatory, how could we ensure a smooth transition? What steps would help it feel more manageable? How could sector leaders play a role in guiding that shift? And finally, fourth question for discussion, in your opinion, how would a fee for paper filing be received by the sector? There's been some talk about introducing a small fee for paper filing, not as a penalty, but really as a nudge towards digital. Would the sector be open to this idea? Could it help more organizations make the switch? So we'd be really curious to hear your thoughts on these questions. And certainly if there are technical questions, we would love to hear those as well.
Thanks, Sharmila. So maybe I'll jump in because there have been some questions that have come in. And so I'll start maybe with some of those, and then we can go back to the discussion questions. I'm also seeing that Emily's providing some guidance about how we might deal with the discussion questions, but let's jump into a couple of the technical ones. So first question that came in, is there a way to upload certain forms? Someone says, I don't want to share access, and I would like to upload, let's say, like a T1236 or T1235 that someone has sent me in PDF format instead of keying all the information again. So is there a way to upload those forms?
So I think I'm going to ask Nicolas to come online.
Yes, sorry for the delay in answering the questions there. I wanted to let Sharmila finish, but to answer that, using option one, which would be completing the online report via MyDA, you will have access to all of the sections which need to be completed, which means that using the example of the T1236, the qualified donee worksheet, you will be prompted with a question that will either ask you to fill out all of the information, name, business number, all of the required information, or you will also have an option to select that you will be uploading a document with all of the required information. So in other words, for the T1236, it is a possibility. There would not be another alternative other than the form being part of the CRA approved software if you were to use option number two. So I hope that answers that question.
Great, thank you. I'm just going to, but we have some more questions, but before I do that, I'll just note we have the discussion questions up here. So if people want to go ahead and in the chat or in the Q&A, give their thoughts on any of these discussion questions as we're working through the technical ones, please do that. We'll make sure to note them and share them with CRA afterwards. Next question, when you say less passwords, does that mean that the charity's return can be accessed through my personal account because I'm tied to the charity as the treasurer?
Yes, the best way I like to explain it is that for security reasons, we want to ensure that whoever's accessing the online account is authorized to do so. So what does that mean? That means that when we type in the business number for the charity, we're going to see authorized individuals. So it could be the president, the secretary. So therefore, when you're accessing your personal account with CRA, you will have the option to add the charity's business number to then access the My Business account. So by having your name and your social insurance number on file, we're able to determine that you're authorized for that business number. In other words, you're authorized for the charity. So that will grant you access to the account on the charity's behalf. And of course, other changes, not to stray too far from the topic, but in terms of changes, those can be submitted online as well. So if you're planning your retirement, you can submit a request directly online and say, I would like to be removed as I'm being replaced by Jodine. And that would mean that as soon as your name is removed, you will no longer have that access to the account because you're no longer recognized as an authorized person.
That's great. Thank you. I saw a question coming in the chat that's related to that. Someone had asked, who can register for online account? Is it any one of the trustees?
Right. So the way, as I've explained it, is that if I'm at my office and I type in the charity's business number, I will see a list of authorized individuals that the charity have determined to either be directors, trustees, or like officials. So we use different terminology, but it's all based on the information we currently have on file.
Perfect. Next question, what are the steps to set up representing a client? I have done it for a previous charity, but I can't seem to be able to set up for the new charity.
I see. Well, registering for represent a client is the same as registering for any other CRA account. So it involves validating your identity, which will eventually give you what we refer to as a rep ID. So that ID number is what validates your identity as a representative. So the way it would work is that if one of the trustees using that language accesses the My Business account, they can authorize a representative directly in their account, and they will need their rep ID to do so.
Great, thank you. The next question that came in, under option 1, is there a way to print the entire return? When I did this last year, there was no way to print or easily compare balances to prior year. And then another comment was the form also needs to be signed, so a separate process to print, scan, and upload the sign-off page.
That's a two-parter, but to answer the first question is that the moment you successfully submit your application online, one, you will be given a confirmation number, but you should also be given a option to print the summary page. So you will be able to click on that option to print the summary page, and it should give you a breakdown of every single section that was completed. So that also allows you to review the information once more, even though it's been submitted. Of course, changes can be made at a later time. And to answer the second question, if you could just repeat that one more time.
I think it was more of a comment, just noting that the form needs to be signed. So there was a separate process
yes.
to have to print, scan, and upload the sign-off page. Is that, I guess, just noted that? Is that true?
That would not apply to the online filing. And the reasoning is that as soon as you submit something through the My Business account, we know that it's coming from you because we've established that you're authorized to complete this on behalf of the charity. Therefore, that removes the necessity to sign a form because the moment you click that submit button, we know that it's coming from Nicholas.
Great, that's very helpful. Thanks for, yeah, I think that's a helpful piece of information. The next question. Someone noted, we complete the tax returns using the fillable PDF template. It would be ideal to be able to upload this document rather than key it all back in. And there's a second part, but maybe I'll just note that. I don't know if you have any response or if that's just something to take away as feedback.
I would say the option number 2 for the CRA certified software essentially replaces the fillable forms and is the same concept in terms of being able to fill out all the information, but with the option to upload and submit it directly, which avoids many of the.
Oh, it looks like Nicola froze for a second there. While we're waiting for him to come back, I might just note that the second part of this question was noting that option 2, I think acknowledging option 2 could do that, but then it does require the charity to purchase third-party software. So a little bit of a rub there on having the ability to upload the third party, but needing to purchase the third-party software.
What we understand is sometimes the third-party software is, in one case, it's software that's used by tax professionals, so they may already be purchasing it on behalf of their practice or on behalf of the work they do as a volunteer. The product that the Four Cs offers, I believe it's available at no charge to their members, but it is also available to non-members at a very nominal fee. As we wait for Nicola's technical difficulties to be sorted out, I will just bring to everyone's attention that the CRA also runs some webinars, and we have started to put recordings of these webinars on our website. So I will provide the link in the main chat to a webinar we did, which was really a walkthrough of how to complete the T3010 form online. And it's, very detailed, very step by step. That may be of benefit to some of the participants today.
Sure. Nicola, are you back? I saw you have your camera off. Did that help with your audio? Oh, not hearing yet. Sharmila, you may be able to, since you mentioned one, the next question was actually wondering about the names of the certified software. I think you'd mentioned there were two. Do you recall, or do you want to go back in the slide deck?
Yeah, I can go back. So one is a product of the Canadian Centre for Christian Charities. We call them the Four Cs, and it's called Phil T3010 Online. And the other company that offers software is Intuit. It's part of Profile. And so that is a set of software that's designed for tax professionals.
Okay, great. I'm just going to scan the questions.
Often charities are using software for other reasons. They may be issuing T4 slips. They may have some things to take care of on the GST, HST side. So some charities themselves have this software.
Yes. Maybe I'll ask this question, which I think potentially was already answered, and you can confirm. Someone had asked, charities often have high turnaround. Is access to an online account for the charity highly dependent on the people in place at the charity, or is it easily changed when the staff responsible for CRA reporting change often?
Hi, I think Nicola is back,
Oh,
and I think he can speak to the importance of keeping your director information up to date with the Charities Directorate.
Hi, my apologies. I'm having some technical issues on my end. What was the complete question again?
sure. Charities often have high turnaround. Is access to an online account for the charity highly dependent on the people in place at the charity, or is it easily changed when the staff responsible for CRA reporting change often?
Absolutely. Well, the responsibility remains with the charity to provide us with up-to-date information about their directors. So an organization that does have high turnaround, for example, it would be very important to inform us of that information to ensure that, one, we have an up-to-date list, and also which would allow them to, for the new individuals coming in, to also have their online access. So that comes back to the point I touched on earlier about being able to submit these changes online. So if you were to be, again, planning your retirement, well, it would be nice or essential, excuse me, to have that updated information for us to not only remove your name so that it removes your access, but also provide us with information about the individual or individuals that are replacing you.
Got it. Thank you. Another question, what about non-T3010 returns such as T1044, T2, T2 short? Are those available online?
Some of these forms, I believe, would be outside of the scope of my expertise. I do know that in the My Business account, you would be able to access any account related to that business number. And many services are already offering these services online. All the more reason to get the online access to view all of these services that I have no doubt would be available as well.
Yeah. So for the T2, so that's the information, well, that's the tax return that corporations fill out that can be filed with the agency online. And for certain segments of that population, it is mandatory. For the T1044, I do not believe there's any opportunity to file that digitally, but that is a form required of some nonprofit organizations.
Okay, thank you. Another question, let me just go, I'm going to jump to this one. Are we able to access last year's filing and upload to this year and then change the required fields?
Unfortunately, you would only be able to access one report at a time, but as we've discussed, you would be able to print off that information. So in other words, you should be able to access past returns. If I'm not mistaken, I believe it only goes back a few years. I wouldn't have the exact number there.
Okay, thank you. Another question, can we give non-trustees access? So for example, staff or an auditor?
What I would recommend is to add them as a representative, if that's the case. Usually the list of authorized individuals, so as we've discussed, we use terms like directors, trustees, or like officials. They would have the highest level of authorization, meaning they have access to make any type of changes. Therefore, if you have, oftentimes we would see if you have an accountant or an employee, that would allow the trustee to verify the level of authorization they want that they want to give to that individual there, which might not allow them to make all of the changes that, let's say, the president would be able to do there. So to conclude, I would add an employee in this case as a representative there. That would be my recommendation.
Great, thank you. There are a couple questions and comments that seem to be related to similar themes. So I'm going to kind of read some of the comments, and there may be questions in there, but maybe just get some of your feedback. So here's one comment. For us, option one wasn't helpful. We need a board committee to review and approve the filing first. Our process needs to be 1, complete the forms, 2, produce a form for review, 3, sign off, then file. This person does note that they're hopeful option 2 will work better for them. Related to this, someone noted that they want to be able to review it prior to submission to ensure it's accurate. And then another note related, so I'm scanning down here. Our auditors review the form before we file, review the return before we file. That person was asking about a way for them to log into the CRA to complete the review before we submit. And you just spoke to that, Nicola, about how to set that up. And then someone else, I heard you say we can access each section, so the summary after you've hit submit. But again, a question about how to print the whole return. So I think there's this theme around the need to potentially have that whole return printed out so that a board committee can review it and sign off on it prior to hitting submit. So wondering if you have any solutions there or just some reflections on those.
Yes, well, with option one, I do believe that there is a print preview. I can confirm that there is a print preview option before submission. And I just want to verify, I'm on the page right now as we speak. And I just want to see here. Let's see here. So it does appear that there is a print preview option before submission. So that should allow the organization, if need be, to review this information before submitting it there, if that is the internal policies of the organization.
Okay, thank you. Just scanning through, here's another technical one, and it may have been answered, so apologies, I'm trying to do both. Someone asking, does T1235 roll over so you don't have to key in all of the details the following year and just update?
Unfortunately, at the moment, for option one, the information would need to be keyed in.
Okay, thank you. A follow-up comment as well about someone said in their experience in terms of printing, you can only print by section, which becomes impractical for senior leadership review. So just some good feedback there around potential changes in the future to how the process works. A couple final questions in the chat box here. Just someone, or a comment here. Someone noted that they have struggled to get the online to work. They've been trying for years to log in and connect themselves to their charitable organization. They received advice to go to a CRA location in person for support. They did do that. The person did something online and said they would get a password or code by snail mail. They unfortunately never received that information by snail mail. So just some feedback there on a possible barrier.
I would really encourage that individual to call our 1-800 number to speak to staff in our client services area in the charities directorate. We don't have staff in CRA offices across the country to help people in person. So
got it, for the charity specific support. That's great.
Yeah.
If maybe someone from the directorate team could put the 1-800 number in the chat right now, just so it's there for easy reference, that would be great. This is a very nice comment from someone. They put question in regards to the discussion questions on the screen. For question 1, what's really holding charities back? This person noted, you've given me favorable responses to most of my tech questions today, which have encouraged me to try to file online next year, as this person already completed this year's filing. And then noted for question 4, this person's feedback was a small filing fee would not encourage but would discourage. And let me just check in I'd given that last piece of feedback. One last question came in on the chat, or I think this was more to the group about wondering what percentage of charities do not use computers. I wonder, Sharmila, when the reference made in the discussion question around, mandatory, I think the question in the chat alluding to, are there some charities that don't use computers? Well, if it was to move towards online mandatory filing, what happens then to those charities that don't use computers?
So that is something that we are actively thinking about, because I think, I don't have a crystal ball, but I can imagine that as a government of Canada, we are going to want to move as much as we can over into the digital space on a go forward basis. So when I think about the sector, there may be charities that do need some type of assistance or would need to come to us to request an exemption. There could be limitations with access to the internet in certain parts of the country. We thought that there's potential that there's certain communities. I know there was a comment about what percentage of charities do not use computers. Maybe a cloistered community would not necessarily, be on top of digital tools, but we do feel pretty confident that if there was mandatory digital filing and that was the direction the government was going to head, we could support any charities that required an exemption and had a legitimate reason to seek that exemption internally.
Great, thank you. Looking at the time, we have 2 minutes left. So I would just like to note we had about 15 minutes of Q&A. We've answered about 20 questions, and I just want to note just how wonderful Nicolas was. I know he's just one of many team members. Highlighting that, please do call. You've already said that, but the volume of questions that came in through our chat, and I know there's many others out there. I hope today we've also demonstrated that the team here at Charities Director, they want to help us. They want to really support making it easy to move to online filing. So please, the number is in the chat. It's 1-800-267-2384. Please call directly. Hopefully less than 5 minutes wait time around that mark, and you'll be able to speak to a person to get your answers answered, get your questions answered, and get that support to be online filing. So a big thank you to Sharmila, Nicolas, and the rest of the CRA Charities Directorate team for joining us today. We really do appreciate you sharing your knowledge and expertise with us. Big thank you to everyone who joined us in the audience, who asked questions and shared their comments. It's really great to see so many folks engaged in this conversation. A recording of this will be shared by email to everyone here today. Please also keep your eye out on Imagine Canada's YouTube channel, where we will share this recording, and then you can share it with your networks as well. With that, thank you again, and wishing you all a great end to your day. Goodbye, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.